Hide and seek. I mean, we've all played it, right? Just think about it for a second. Those long summer nights, the absolute thrill of finding that perfect hiding spot, trying not to laugh so you don't give yourself away, it's such a core memory from childhood. Just a simple, harmless game. Or maybe not. Because let's really dig into that. What's the one moment in the game that actually gets your heart pounding? Is it that crazy suspense when you're tucked away in the dark, just waiting? Or is it the sound of someone's footsteps getting closer and closer? Because that right there, that's the real fear, isn't it? The idea that maybe, just maybe, there's someone else playing who you didn't know about. And today, that's exactly what we're going to deconstruct. We're looking at 3 stories where that exact fear becomes horrifyingly real. So to really get why these stories are so terrifying, we have to go back to the beginning. We need to remember the innocence of it all. We have to establish that baseline of what the game should be before we see how it all gets twisted. I mean, the rules couldn't be simpler. One person is it, everybody else hides. The key thing is you know who you're playing with and you know the boundaries, like just the house or just the backyard. It's a totally closed loop built on trust. It's supposed to be safe. And that brings us to the first big element of horror in these stories. What happens when those places, those supposed safe zones, become the very source of the terror? You know, there's a reason this is such a classic in horror. All it really takes is for the sun to go down. The same house you've lived in your whole life suddenly becomes a maze of dark corners and strange shadows. And it works so well because it messes with our most basic instinct for safety. Your home is supposed to be your fortress. So when that space gets compromised, well, where do you have left to go? And you see this in each of these stories. They start in a place that should feel totally secure. A regular suburban house with a couple of friends, the woods you've played in a million times behind your house, a big open property with an old shed out back. These are all places of comfort that get systematically turned into a stage for absolute dread. Okay, now we're getting to the real heart of it. The twist that completely shatters the game. The introduction of someone or something that was not on the guest list. Just look at how this basic rule of the game, knowing who you're playing with, gets completely violated. In the house, you've got 2 best friends playing, but then a third set of footsteps is heard upstairs. In the woods, all 5 kids are accounted for, but there's a whisper coming from the trees that belongs to none of them. And in maybe the creepiest one, a stranger literally joins the game and then seems to be hunting the players even after he's supposedly gone. This quote, from the story that takes place in the woods, just perfectly captures that moment the rational part of your brain starts to lose the fight. It's that denial, right? Your brain's scrambling to find a logical explanation for something that just feels deeply, deeply wrong. It's that horrible click when you have to admit, okay, that's not a raccoon out there, that's something else. And that brings up something really crucial. So much of the fear in these stories isn't what they see, it's what they hear in that thick, heavy silence. And that's because our own imagination is always the worst monster. A sound without a source lets your mind cook up something way scarier than what's probably there. So in that first story, it all starts with this. Just a simple, everyday house sound. But it's wrong. It's the sound of slow, heavy steps upstairs when both players are hiding downstairs. Then, in the woods, you get this. It's not someone yelling, ready or not, it's a whisper. Which is so much creepier, you know? It's intimate, it's secretive, and it implies that whatever's out there is trying to stay hidden too, just like you. And finally, this one. This happens hours after the game is over. A scratching sound at the bedroom window. This is it. This is the confirmation that the game never really ended for the seeker, and you were what was being hunted the entire time. And that's really what it all boils down to. The whole point of the game, to be found, suddenly becomes the most terrifying outcome imaginable. The fear shifts from just losing a game to losing something way, way more important. Because you see, for the people who told these stories, the game was eventually over, but the fear never left. It stuck with them, and it completely changed how they saw their safest places in the world. The fallout from this stuff is real. The narrator from the house story gets insomnia, startled by every normal creak and groan of the house. The kids from the woods story,
They never play in those woods again, ever. And the third narrator is left with these horrible unanswered questions about a dirty piece of rope he found by his window. What was it for? What was the plan? The not knowing is its own kind of terror.
And really, I think this one line from one of the narrators just sums up the entire theme perfectly. That's the terrifying lesson they learned. The darkness is never really empty. It's just a space filled with awful possibilities.
So, the game is over. You can come out. But maybe ask yourself, are you absolutely sure you're the only one who was hiding?